Welcome. Ooh, that was weird. That was your line.
Welcome to Mic'd and Medicated. We are back in the saddle. We are back in the New York home studio, and we are back to school and back to life
Back
in
in
New
the
York
New York
City.
groove.
Back to
Um,
life, back
that's,
to
I was
reality.
like, yeah, it is true. Back in the New York groove. Back, except it feels like New York in 1976 because it is fucking mayhem out there, man. There is a lot of crazies and not enough cops.
I was going to ask you how you felt being back in New York City, but it sounds like you're feeling
I feel
a
like
shift.
I'm fight or flight. Like I went from like ocean and bird noises to like move over or like honk or jackhammer. So I'm just like constantly just tequila,
There's a lot of stimulation in New York City.
fucking shit. No wonder I have ADD. Like anybody born here like has to develop it. It's like
Maybe.
survival. Cause I'm just like, what? It's like, it's a lot. And then you kind of feel like you need to be on guard because like sometimes you'll see a guy walking with his head through a chair, which I did see. I'm like, okay, well, I don't have my pepper spray, but maybe I should get one. But anyway, we're going to keep this episode. You're on a time crunch, so we're going to keep it tight like a vagina that's never given birth.
Woohoo! Neither of us have those vaginas, but let's do it.
Oh, nope. That was awkward. Okay. So I think where we're going to start is the fact that I have kids who I think it's kind of still age appropriate to make these signs that are like first day of kindergarten, first day of third grade, but they're kind of stupid.
I never did that, for the record.
I'm not surprised. Benign neglect, baby. Benign neglect.
The most underrated parenting strategy. I will stand by that.
We are going to go there.
Carry on. Tell me about the sign.
Okay. So anyway, I do love the signs for one reason. It always says, who do I want to be when I grow up? And they're pretty good. Consistently, my daughters wanted to be a door girl.
Ooh, I like it. A door girl. Sounds very sexy.
Right. I'm like, is that a club girl or is that a doorman, but door girl? I think it's more of like a door girl.
Wait, why do we still call them doormen? They should be door persons.
Because you know what? Some things are better just keeping them the same. Okay. Like master bedroom, like who cares?
Okay. No, I'm just surprised. I don't disagree with you. I just like that's something that's been overlooked.
Yeah, that is true. Maybe the union got it to be like, fuck you all. We want to be doormen.
Have you ever seen a doorwoman?
No, and I don't want one. I don't feel safe.
I get it.
What is she going to do?
Why is no one clamoring saying that there aren't enough doorwomen?
I don't know. It's a really good point. I think because they all subconsciously feel like I do. But I always laugh. I'm like, what is my doorman going to do? Who's like this like nice guy who like if someone comes in, what weapon does he have? What is he going to do? Take a house phone and throw it at him? How is he going to prevent somebody from just going all the way up to my apartment?
Right. No, you make a very good point. So I think we all live with this false sense of security and we create these happy, safe narratives in our heads because I've always felt like living in a building with a doorman, I am so safe. But now that you've said that, I can't like unhear it. And now I'm worried.
What is he going to do? What is that guy who's probably playing football on his phone or a phone game?
Well, that's a whole nother thing. Like,
what is he gonna
I
do?
love my doorman so much. I live in the best building, and
let's not say the address.
We have a real community, but I feel like such a jerk saying this, but like I don't think they should be allowed to use their phones on duty.
No way. Phones should only be when they're making a duty, not on duty. I agree. Like you have one job: watch the fucking door, not your phone, but the door.
Exactly.
Or the cameras.
And by the way, we should segue to our episode because like I also don't applaud them every time I walk in the door and they say welcome back.
Right. They open their door because it's their job. Right. That brings us up to kind of like the signs or, they're only also celebrating like their accolades or these milestones. They're not saying you're a great little girl. So we're going to have a little, party. They're sort of like you're going to third grade or kindergarten, which you're fucking supposed to do. And it's costing a lot of money.
So wait, so then why do you do these, hi, today's my first day of third grade sign?
Because I actually think I'm one of the few people who is sentimental. And I think I'll make a book. I also do their handprints at the end of every school year and the beginning, which I forgot this year to compare. I'm like, I'll make an art project with them. But I think most people do it just to say, I have a kid who is going to school. And you're not even supposed to put the school on the board if you're putting it online, because that's scary. You don't want some crazy person coming. So I don't know. I think it's all about parents. All about ego. It's the kids, my third grader was like, are you kidding me? I have to hold up this little red flag that says first day of third grade.
Well, it's also become somewhat of an Instagram moment, right? I mean,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's for parents to be like, hey, like, I'm not like alone on my couch with no life. Like I made a kid who's going to third grade, who's 53 inches tall.
But so we're going to land the plane on what we're talking about today. And it's really that as the school year begins and we are inundated with all of these celebrations and welcome back activities for school, we can't help but realize that there seems to be something weird happening where parenting is not about doing what is right for your child, but doing for the sake of making yourself feel better about what's going on.
It's cocktail party talk. It's building your child's resume. That's what I feel. I feel like, from the nursery school talks, even before, oh, can your child walk? Oh, no. Oh, really? My child did. It's all about making themselves feel better. I think you're right. And it's not focusing on what, like if someone dies, I'm not saying your kid's going to die. I'm saying like if that's
God forbid.
God forbid. But like when you die, you think people are going to be like, she went to Harvard Business School, went to Dartmouth, graduated with this. No, they're going to say Eva was, I'm not going to do your eulogy because that would make you cry, but like was, amazing, honest, authentic. It's just like, it reminds me of when Larry David was being interviewed by Charlie Rose, and Larry David was like, Charlie's like, Larry, like, what, like, if you died, like, what do you think it would say in your tombstone? And like, you would think Larry would say, like, I had a hit television show and I'm worth XYZ money. And he was like, oh, I don't know, Larry likes TV. And Charlie's like, no, how about this? Larry David makes people laugh. Like, that's what he's going to be remembered for. So it's like, we're not focusing on like the moments of childhood of, even those moments of laughter, right? That don't come from the first day making everything as you like the khaki moment of like the hashtag blessed, right? Like those are not going to be memorable.
Well, it's funny because when you say that Charlie Rose kind of captured it beautifully by saying, Larry David makes people laugh or made people laugh, that's how he made people feel. And I think that we've missed that in life. We're not focused on how we're making people feel as much as what we are telegraphing in terms of accomplishments.
I don't even think we're focusing on how we feel. I mean, I think there's almost like this polarization of people who are way too self-introspective, and it almost becomes like narcissism, where it's just obsessive with self-reflection and all about them.
There's a word for that, navel gazing.
Oh, interesting. Like, is that looking through your stomach, through your navel?
No, it's just like in business, we'd always say like,
that's a C-suite term.
It's a C-suite term. But no, we'd always say like if people were sitting around the table admiring the problem, you're navel gazing versus like rolling up your sleeves and thinking about like diagnosing it and how to make it better and what the steps are to solve it. So I think you're right. You can get sort of paralyzed in this introspection where some might argue that's what we're doing every day on this couch. So I
think we are doing it, but I think we are doing it. And I'm not just going to say it because it's us, in an authentic way that I think we actually want to make change. We're not just like thinking about how we want to be happy every day. I don't think like for us, it's not about that. Goal. It's about how do we raise, we've seen a lot of fucked up generations in the past. Like I would say, it's true what they say about people who grew up like in the World War II era, baby boomers, greatest generation to ever live. People born like in 1917, like JFK's era.
Those aren't the baby boomers.
No, they're not.
The greatest
I'm sorry.
generation.
They were grown ups like in the baby. They had baby boomers.
Right. So the greatest generation, World War I, because they understood like selfless service,
World War One
sacrifice,
and World War
courage.
Two.
And then I'd argue the baby boomers, and that gets to, sort of this focus on self. They didn't have to sacrifice it. It became more about, how do I make myself happy?
I disagree with the baby boomer thing. I don't think they were thinking about their feelings. Maybe now they are. But I think a lot of them were first generation, sort of having these jobs that were normal jobs, or, they were moving from agrarian areas to urban environments, and they were still trying to make something of themselves. Maybe it's not me, I would be their kids, but that generation in between.
I don't know. They say like with baby boomers, that's like the beginning of the breakdown of community, the rise of divorce, like all these other things, because I think when you're in service of something bigger than yourself, you don't have time to navel gaze.
There was also like, very defined roles in terms of marriage. And I think that was a lot easier. It was sort of, not that I want to be I would literally, be a drug addict, opioid mom with like burnt casserole, but but maybe I wouldn't. Maybe it would be so easy because I wouldn't, I don't know, but maybe those days were easier for women. They were easier for men. There was no arguing about who's bringing home the bacon and who's making the bacon. It was sort of,
right. No, I think having clear division of labor is great. I think as long as you and your partner decide on what that is, like it's between the two of you. So there's no right or wrong. There's no way it needs to be. And I think back in the day, there was probably more just societal pressure and paradigms around like who should do what. But I think
we also lived closer to families, which I think kept people grounded.
Right. But for me, I think what, I'm excited to dig into today is really understanding in our community, and it's like hard to even call it a community, there's become this fixation on your children in a way of, they're almost like an accessory or an extension of your success and achievement. And so we're rushing these kids through childhood. We're over celebrating every milestone, even when it's, silly things that are just, expected, like going to school.
Right. Like, or your tooth falling out. I mean, what the fuck is that about? We've made that joke. Like,
right.
That's normal. Great. I'm so happy your tooth fell out. That means you have a real grown-up tooth that's pushing it out.
Exactly. But like by over celebrating and over focusing, are we overcompensating for some, deficit we feel in our parenting day to day? Or is it
maybe
that
it's a reassurance that we think we're doing a good job as parents?
Maybe. Or do we feel like, are we that vapid and superficial that we believe that our kids are some of their achievements and not, just, we've lost sight of loving them for who they are. I want to be focused on raising a good human, not a good college applicant. And I do think sometimes we lose our way. And instead of like helping our children become their true, authentic selves, we want them to become as successful as possible, measured by all of these external.
We want them to be successful humans.
Bars.
Right. And I think for me, that means my children having successful family lives. Because I think that, to me, if my kids can have a healthy marriage and have children and have a healthy relationship with them, I think I've done my job in a sense. Because I think that's something you really can't be taught besides for your parents demonstrating that, that they are able. No, but I'm being like, you're able. For me, I'm saying that would be important to me. It's like able to demonstrate, like my son, like empathy towards a woman or understanding, like that's a big part. Or how he would treat his family, how he treats his grandparents, like that, like means something. You don't have to have kids or be married, but how you treat people in your environment.
But take that example, like instead of us focusing on how to help our children build strong relationships and have conversations with people who share different perspectives and be kind and, helpful to those less fortunate, we seem to be focused on getting our kids into school, the right schools, making sure they're A students, making sure they excel at sports or piano or whatever their, quote unquote talent is. And it does feel like if you look at, where our time is spent versus what we say is important, we seem to be.
We don't put our money where our mouth is.
Thank you. And I worry, I feel like even saying community, it's like we we say community is most important, but we behave in ways that are very individual.
I think it started with just like manufacturing so many things that we do that should not be manufactured. For instance, I never agreed with schools having community service hours requirements, like high schools. I think you should be motivated to do that.
Oh, interesting. Whereas I kind of love it because I feel like it forces that behavior that I think is so important that may not happen otherwise.
But like demonstrate it, right? Like if you're a school that cares about that, then make your kids your grade or make the school do things like that. Like show them, like you have to, or as a parent, show them.
But then isn't that like also proving our point that if you have to require it, then it's not core to who you are as an institution that's what I'm saying. Community.
Like that's not your values, and it's like weird because in a city like New York, I mean, we're not like in a suburban bubble. Like you see a diverse group of people. You see somebody who's literally using a grate on the sidewalk as their bed, so you would think you would naturally be inclined to want to help that person. And I think there's a part of fear of like talking, like when my kids want to help give a blanket to a guy in the street. And I'm like, I don't know if he's on drugs or what. Like, I don't want to approach him.
Right.
But like, you want to harness that feeling and keep it going. That's why I love Judaism, because it's tikkun olam. It's like always give back. It's like part of the value system and it's what they teach.
Exactly.
So that should be part of something that's taught in schools probably, instead of all this like DEI, you're different, you should hate each other. Maybe we should be a little bit more like kumbaya. Let's love each other. Let's celebrate each other, and let's help our communities in need.
1,000%. I think that could be a whole nother episode because we have, I think, lost the plot by focusing on what divides us versus what unites us.
100%.
But I think like the things that I'm thinking about as this first week unfolded back in the city with school beginning is like all of these sort of forced moments of accolades that just feels so like inauthentic and unnecessary.
I have to actually get an Uber to get my kid to school. Hold on for someone to pick up my kid. Hold on.
I hold up the sign at the beginning of the year. I feel like I see a lot of families doing that and the kids look extremely miserable. Well, and like I guess the question 15, is like
kind of fucked up.
Right. But let's see.
Who's
if you're
going to do that at college? I'm definitely
15.
Still doing it.
Are we missing the point by over celebrating? Is that because we're trying to compensate for the day-to-day where we don't feel like we're doing enough? Is that because we feel like that's going to make that moment more meaningful or memorable? And have we even bothered to ask our kids how they feel about it and what would be meaningful and the right recognition of that moment for them?
I think it's a really good question. And I think most kids would probably say, no, I don't want to hold up a sign. No, I don't want to take a picture. No, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. No, why do I only have space for 3 words to write things I love? No, they would say no. But it's just like they're inundated with us in their face, taking photos, taking this. And you know what I think it is because we don't know how to celebrate the good, the small little things in life. Like the best times I have with my kids are never the scheduled holidays and events. Those are hell. The family photo shoot, the birthday parties, not fun. But like little moments, giggling, taking a bath with them when they're little, reading them a book, them saying funny stuff, that's special.
Right. So then have we just become a society of performers? Because like the reality is those moments you just talked about, which I couldn't agree more, are the really special times
How do you celebrate
my children. That's between you and your family, as it should be. But like, are we doing all of this so we can telegraph it to the world? Or like, is the point that we've become this performative society where everything has to be Instagram ready?
I don't even think it's just Instagram ready, which I agree. There's so many voyeurs and that we live in a voyeuristic culture. But I think it comes before that because like you've been raising your kids pre-Instagram. I think it's just nobody knows. Everybody's over like pulled in every direction. And so I think that people just need to know they're doing something right because they're not really focusing on one thing. I would say it's very rare to have a mom or father who's like 100% with their child or 100%
nor is that the goal. But I guess,
right. I guess they're just like, I don't know.
But let me ask you this, like, I don't remember growing up
trauma
that
brain. Oh, sorry.
I don't remember growing up that I was being celebrated the first day of every year. I don't remember parents, you know, cheering outside of school when I entered my first day.
No, I remember getting my checkup right before school, like, which sucked. I was getting a shot or something and getting new shoes. And
yeah,
like,
that first day of school outfit. I do
right,
remember
like,
that
that's
being
what I
important.
remember. And I don't remember a whole like, woohoo.
And so like, are we as parents, like I feel like, and this is not a new topic, but I think it's on our brains right now. Why are we so over invested in our children? And I think that is really
we're actually
royally
underinvested.
screwing them up.
We are over compensating for actually being underinvested.
Tell me more.
Because I think instead of actually understanding our children, right? Like, I'm lucky that my kids are very confident to say, I'm exhausted. I'm not going to gymnastics, or I hate this, or some people would call them quitters or flaky. I call them very in touch with their feelings, like their mother. But I didn't succumb to all that shit, but they don't let me, like they are tired. They don't want to be busy all the time. So I listen to them, but most people, especially in New York City, they don't listen. They are scheduling their kids 6 months out of the 6 months before the activities are happening. They are not asking their kids, how are they feeling at school? It's like, if they're not doing well in school, no parent is going, is it the school? Rarely. They're like, what's wrong with my kid? Maybe it's the wrong fit. Maybe it's the wrong environment. Maybe there's nothing wrong with your kid. Like, nobody is really.
Because actually this reminds me of one of my all-time favorite parenting books, and I don't remember the author's name, but the book is called The Awakened Family. I hugely recommend it. I actually often tell my husband to read things and he never does, but this he actually
We'll
read
put in the
twice.
show notes.
He read it twice. And the author contends that so much of parenting is just about managing yourself, and that the reward of parenting isn't to mold your child. It's to actually learn and grow as an adult, as a person, as a result of your child, and as a result of sort of being there, watching them become their unique self. And I love, she says, always ask yourself, is this about me or about my child? And I think so much, if you start to really unpack your parenting, is managing your own anxieties or feeling triggered. And that is not your child's issue or problem. That's about you.
Right. But okay, I agree with that. I think it's actually beautiful and brilliant. And how do you balance that with, sometimes it is about me as the parent. Like, I told you no because I said so. Or like, I don't want you doing that in the park because, yes, I do have my own anxiety of childhood trauma of my mom saying, don't take your shoes off in the sandbox. There are real fears about, needles and shit in there. But like, my kid clearly wants to explore and play, and it's not about them. It's about me. Well, is that okay?
I'm so glad you're asking, and I'm going to put on my psychologist hat right now. No, but I don't know the answer to that question. But I think
that's why we're podcast philosophers.
I think the idea is that the goal is not to control or to discipline your child. The goal is to create open communication, trust, and respect.
So you can have disagree. That you need to be able to discipline. We know gentle parenting bullshit. We need to discipline. I'm sorry that the gentle parenting is just going to have another generation of fucking narcissists.
I'm kind of a fan of it, but I have been shot down so many times. God,
you're so bad at gentle parenting. Like, I love that you're. Wait, can you tell the math story or no?
Which story?
The math story, or no?
Math story
with the not great grade.
Oh, sure. One of my kids was saying how, oh my God, math is so easy this year. It's like everything I did last year. And I just reminded them that, well, you didn't do too well in math last year. So good thing you're getting another chance.
Yeah. See, I think that's brilliant. Like, I think there's a combination of like nurturing these kids and catering to them being children and being like, you're a fucking child. And I'm the boss, and you're not an asshole. I don't want you. You're not a know-it-all. You don't know everything. And I think that's where we're all missing this. We're missing this point of like, let's let them be children, but we still have to be parents.
Okay, so one, we're never going to let Caroline be a child psychologist, but I love what you're saying as just a a way to handle things, because I don't disagree with you. I think the minute you start giving your kids, it's like, why are you letting the inmates run the asylum? So I 1,000% agree with you.
Which, by the way, my kids often are, I'm scared of them.
But I do think that we live in a city of strivers, and everyone from the get-go. I mean, the importance placed on getting your kid into the right nursery school, forget kindergarten, and then it's just on, and it's somehow, it means so much where your kid goes to school, what their standing is. Like, I will tell you these things and it'll blow your mind. Like dads with big important jobs calling school to say, like, I think my son's in the wrong reading group. He should be in he should be in the advanced reading group.
That's actually amazing. Like, I don't even think my husband knows. I don't know what reading group he's in, and I wouldn't even know if it was advanced. Like, but they know better than me.
Or like, there's so funny. Math will be calibrated. So there's regular math, there's advanced math, but then there are kids for whom advanced math isn't advanced enough. So then the school has to, bend over backwards and create an advanced math. So like these things are all happening in Manhattan every day. And I think it's because of this overinvestment.
Is it just here, you think?
I don't know. I just think there's this, I think it's all well-intentioned, but I think it's this overinvestment in like, either my child is a reflection of me, so therefore, like, if they're a genius, I'm a genius, or I'm worried about my child. So, I want to make sure they have every opportunity in the world to, all doors open, like, optionality to do whatever they choose.
Sounds like if you have enough money and power to call your school, your private school, and be like, move my kid from the low reading group, you probably can help open a lot of doors for that kid.
Well, but
why are you worried about that?
But I guess what I'm saying is, like,
no, I get what you're saying.
I always say to my husband, because unfortunately he works very, very hard and often does not get to come to any of the school events. So, you're invited 10 a.m. to go see your daughter, in a play. And I always say, I'm shocked. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's actually beautiful, but I'm shocked how many, like, I say husbands and then I feel like an asshole. So maybe I'll say, both parents can show up and be present for that, for like the second grade skit in social studies, and I feel like that's wonderful. But on the other hand, it's like, we're raising a generation.
Maybe you can't show up.
Well, we're raising a generation who feels like they're the center of the world. And maybe that's a good thing. And you could argue that's supposed to engender confidence. But I think what ends up happening is, like, what happens when you get your first job and, like, there aren't a ton of people screaming, well done, you know how to use the computer.
Well, I think there's certain moments that if you don't show up, I think you could really kind of fuck up your kid. Like, I think if you're the only parent that doesn't go to the play, that's sort of not nice, I think, but you don't have to celebrate everything else. And I think the funny thing is, you're seeing a lot of both parents, but I bet you a lot of those parents are both either working or socialiting or doing other things than child rearing. And so they need to be there for themselves to feel like they're there. But I bet you a lot of those children do not feel like they are the center of their world.
Interesting. Well, look, I'm the first to admit I have some regret that I didn't show up at enough things, because I think you're a great mom, was working hard.
Okay.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. It's funny you say that, because actually, like, I selfishly feel that way. My husband always showed up. My kids always felt like they had somebody there. But even, Sandy had his first soccer game, and I was with my daughter. I was with Eleanor, and nobody was there. And I was thinking, like, he's a senior. I haven't really gone to many games all through high school. Like, I want to make a bigger effort and go to some of his games this year. But then I was also like,
does he care if you go?
I kind of feel like it's nice that he doesn't, because he plays for himself. He's not,
no offense. Like, is he like David Beckham? Like, do you have to be there to watch him score 100 goals?
Of course not.
Yeah, so who fucking cares? He's 17 years old.
Right.
My parents didn't come to my game. I guess I wasn't really good at sports. So I guess I wasn't in games.
Then you're saying both things. You're saying it's important to be there, but it's also not important to be there. Now I'm confused.
I guess no, but a sports game could happen like every week.
It does.
That's different than like the second grade play. That's like once in the year.
Right. But like, for example, within class, sometimes they do things. And so
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like
the school play.
Yeah, like, or like the dance show that happened. Like I'm talking about the annual, like semi-annual events. I'm not talking about like the every game.
And I guess we should just be, I mean, maybe I should just be impressed by people who can go to absolutely everything. And I'm not saying that's good or bad or indifferent. I guess maybe I'm trying to make a different point, which is sometimes I think we focus on the wrong things and we miss the point. So like, I'll give you another example. Prom in New York City is a tremendous deal, but it seems like it's as much, if not more, for the parents than for the kids.
Well, I think that's just culturally what we're seeing in New York. And I think you've definitely showed that to me more than I really noticed, because this is, now I have a third grader, I have a kindergartner, I'm getting more in it. And it's really upsetting to see how, like, I look at a lot of these kids and I don't know if they look happy, like I'm seeing it differently. Like, I'm a tiger mom in my own way, but I'm not like insane, but you know what I mean? Like, I think
it's all relative.
It just, I agree, but I also think like part of raising children, like you actually, we brought up this concept of, you did, about benign neglect, and like New York, there is so much need to manufacture everything. Like, you can't just like let your kid go at 8 years old to play outside. Like, I was walking in the Central Park with my dad and there was a fucking homeless guy with swords. Like, that's just child endangerment, allowing them to do that. You really, everything is so manufactured here, right? It's like you've got to bring them to like a basketball place because you can't just play outside with a hoop, or I can't explain it. It's a hard place for kids, for little kids. It's not, I don't know. I'm verbal diarrheaing here. Save me. be my
well,
Pepto-Bismol.
I think what you're saying is, and this has been going on for a long time, it's on the one hand, I mean, growing up in a city is different than growing up in the country, full stop. And that's, we're never going to get around that. But I think what we're also saying, and I remember a while ago, there was this great TED talk circulating by the ex admissions officer at Stanford University called the Checklist Childhood. And it was just about how like we're robbing our kids of their childhood by making sure that they check off every single thing, that one can do growing up, in hopes of, getting your kid into the best college. And I feel like, that was a long time ago, but like it's translated or become in the city now this sort of hyper focus on like cultivating and nurturing and really going all out on your child's quote unquote talents, to the point where rather than a school being a community of kids all participating in school life, everyone's like rushing out the door to their tutor to make sure they're, getting the best grade in advanced math, or they're rushing to their special travel sports team because the team at the school isn't good enough from which to get recruited by. And so we've created this sort of world we live in where I do feel like there's this over investment in our kids. And instead of our kids growing up independent and resilient, we're actually doing the opposite, because we're curating to the point and we're putting like special tutors in place. And I actually think these kids are becoming reliant on others around them. And I don't know if it's authentic. And maybe that's what you're picking up on, because I do think the point of a childhood is to explore, to dabble, to figure out what you enjoy, and then to do it and to figure out who you are. And by the way, by definition, half of our kids are below average. Like, just definitionally, like if you have 100 kids and you stack them, 50% of them, 50 of them are below average. So
they don't even have any skills. I mean, I think what you're saying about this reliance is, it's not like a safe, codependent, relationship with your parents. It's like, you can't do advanced math without your parents paying for like the most expensive tutor. It's like, why the fuck are you in advanced math? It's like, why did you get this internship for a big bank when it's like only because someone, paid for you to get it and then pays to tutor you to do it? Like, they don't even know how to be. They don't even know who they are.
We should stop and highlight that, because I was really
You shocked me telling me that.
Gobsmacked when I found out that so you tutor in high school and then you tutor in college, and even that was, I mean, I guess that's always been going on. I had no idea. I was like a deer in headlights in college and probably would have benefited tremendously from a tutor, but had no idea that was a thing. But now people pay to have tutors at work. So like if
That's
you're
insane.
starting a new job, your tutor comes with you to your job.
What?
Yeah, I
Like a
know
service
this for
dog?
certain in banking. No, they show
like
up.
the tutor coming in like a really smart like Indian guy with like a vest,
An orange vest.
Service tutor.
Oh my God, can you imagine? Actually, that happened to me. I was in Pound Ridge and I went into the supermarket and I had Bunny with me. And some really nice woman came over and was like, I'm so sorry. Only service dogs are allowed. I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, Bunny is my comfort dog and I'm incredibly anxious and you don't want to see me in here without her. And she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Please carry on.
That's really
Bunny's looking at me like, Mom, what am I?
Yeah, Bunny's like shaking in the corner.
Yeah, actually, that was probably a really bad parent move. Like,
why? I think it's genius.
Bunny's a fucking lies. Dog. Okay, but
why do we call them white lies, not black lies?
Because they're pure. They're not bad. Isn't that the point of a white lie?
I don't know. That's like fucking crazy, right?
Why are we allowed to associate white with good and black with bad?
I don't know. Why can we say door girl really and racist. White? We can say doorman and white lies. See, that to me is fucking weird.
Right. I mean, maybe they were getting around to that.
I don't really care. I don't think anybody's taking it seriously. I just thought it was interesting. I never thought about that saying.
We are philosophers.
We are. We ask a lot of questions and we don't give room or space for anybody to answer them.
But back to the tutoring thing. So apparently you get tutored to get into clubs in college.
Wait. Like what kind of clubs? Like the eating clubs? Like the social clubs?
Well, when I went to college, it was really straightforward. Like you walked in and you were like, hi, I'm Eva. I'd love to be part of this community service club. And they're like, great, have a seat. Now everything's really, really competitive. My friend has a daughter who was interviewing for a business club and she had to go through multiple rounds and there's, interview upon interview and essays. I mean, intense. And getting into the club then meant she had a better chance of getting into the business school, which I guess entry starts junior year.
Jesus fucking
And
Christ.
then you need a tutor to teach you all the terms to get the iBanking job. And then my friend has a husband who is a tutor and she is very grateful to all these people because that's, her husband's livelihood. But his bread and butter is tutoring people at all the banks. Wow. But it's like, I guess, what did we expect the outcome to be? Because it's like teach a man to fish. Like if you just hand a guy a fish and you keep handing him fish, like, would you think he's going to just grow up and know how to fish?
Somebody's going to really fucking high mercury.
You're feeding him small white fish.
That's
not
true.
Tuna.
Dude, it's nuts. I don't know, but like, I guess the point is like, is this a New York thing? Is this the generational thing? Because this is where I'm like, I don't think I can do this because I was totally fine growing up here and being like mediocre and coming home and watching TV. Like I didn't give a fuck. My brother was crazy, so they were all focused on him. I think it made me really funny.
Benign neglect. I'm telling you, it works.
Yeah, but it doesn't work anymore that way. Like it worked in the city in that way because I wasn't TikToking.
For kids. It doesn't work for the parents.
But it works. This is the issue. It worked in the 90s because I wasn't going to get into so much trouble at home.
I disagree. I think there's always been danger.
Sorry.
There's always been trouble.
Yes, but there's a lot more.
Have just become hyper crazy.
There's a lot more with technology. You need a lot. Being outside and playing is a lot more important as benign neglect than I think it was when I was growing up because you couldn't get in as much trouble at home. Like I would play in my room with my Barbies or my dolls. I'm like, but I didn't have an iPad to like do crazy shit on. Do you know what I mean?
I totally disagree. I think there's always forms of crazy. And when I think about, a suburban childhood, you're, riding your bike around the neighborhood with other kids and nobody worried. And yes, maybe the world has become less safe.
But
I don't know.
My mom didn't worry about me in my room. Like I would worry today about a 10, 11-year-old girl in their room with an iPad. Like, are they on TikTok? Are they making sexy videos of themselves? Like, you can't just leave her alone.
Oh my God, I'm so afraid for you because you really are.
No, that's what I'm thinking. That's why I'm thinking this way.
I know. It's going to be really hard when your kids
grow
up.
I agree. But like, that's why I think there has to be like a different environment potentially for me.
I don't know. So let me give you another example.
In my room.
My husband says when he was a kid, he and his brother, 5th grade, 3rd grade, they lived on the east side. They went to school on the west side and they took the public bus every day. And that was what all the kids did.
I know. I never did that.
How many kids do you know in 3rd and 5th grade taking the public bus?
But New York is fucking crazy. Like that's endangerment.
I'm so sorry. When he was growing up, I think it was worse than what my kids were growing up.
Yeah. And I think that would be bad parenting.
But everyone did it. I think, I don't know what.
Third grade?
Well, he had an older brother in 5th grade. So to call it 5th grade.
Okay, fine.
Or
maybe.
just,
I guess 6th grade, I was like allowed to do things by myself, but I'm a girl. So maybe it would have been different if I was a boy.
Maybe the world is scarier. Maybe I'm wrong. Or
I think the
maybe
world
as
is
parents,
scarier.
we're just more nervous and anxious, but I do think we're harming our children in a way, because the only way you learn is by doing yourself. And if we do for them, whether it's driving them to school until, through senior year, or whether it's, doing their laundry, whatever it might be, they don't learn to do it for themselves.
Yeah, I still can't do laundry well.
Exactly.
I know, I'm fucked up. That's the problem. Like, I'm awesome, but I have my issues, and my kids are going to be awesome and have their issues.
Everyone.
But I think you have to move with the times. You have to see times are changing. Okay. And you have to understand that there's different threats for your children. Okay. So if the threat is in a device, right?
Yes.
Then you got to make sure they're doing something where they don't fucking need a device, which is maybe they're playing tennis outside a lot.
I wonder maybe if that's why people overschedule too, is they want to keep them busy so they're not on devices.
No, I think that's because that's a New York crazy.
I don't know. The device thing is I'm very concerned. Don't move because of the device thing, because I do think
not what I'm
it's
saying. I'm saying
ubiquitous. It's everywhere.
That's not what I mean. I mean, it was just, you could allow benign neglect to happen in a different environment, differently. If I was alone in my room, I could play Oregon Trail on my computer. There was nothing.
Wait, what's Oregon Trail?
It was like an old, you'd like kill ox. It was like a stupid game.
But
I'm saying there was nothing for me to get. My parents knew by leaving me in that room, okay, I could watch what was ever on TV at the time. They didn't pay for like porn or crazy channels. My computer did fucking nothing, okay? So what was I doing? Nothing was that bad. That's my point.
All right, that's probably fair. I don't disagree with that.
Today, my kids could find whatever they want on the TV. They could do, you have to monitor them more.
Right, but you also have to change with the times, in that no matter what the time is, your kid at some point is going to be living in that world without you. And so you have to prepare them. And I would argue the best preparation is
they don't
to
have
start
skills
teaching,
to monitor YouTube. They don't fucking know.
Maybe not early, but you got to figure out when to like let go.
That's what I'm saying, is like, as a parent, I'm like, okay, this environment might be a little too difficult for me to do that. And I want them to have autonomy.
I feel like every conversation, I love you, is coming back to whether or not you're going to move to Miami. But what I
don't even think I'm moving. I'm just saying it changes.
But what I'm saying is, I hear you.
I need to benign neglect more.
But I also think like we're conflating two things. So there's, yes, like maybe the world is categorically a more scary place. And I also think we're in a scarcity mindset, because everyone's worried that, our kid's going to have jobs. What's the future look like? It's not an abundance mindset. But I also think there's something about, and this is what I think we're talking about, as a parent today, there is such a over investment in our children, but maybe misplaced or in the wrong places, where it's on their achievements versus on who they are. Yep. And the time we spend with them is not on cultivating inner kind of self-worth and confidence and peace.
What are we teaching them?
But we're actually focused on all of these external metrics. And if you live your life that way, we're setting our kids up to be very unhappy and to become shells of themselves when they're no longer in an environment where everyone is praising them for just showing up and doing their job.
Or tutoring them or coddling them. I think it's like, what we are saying the same thing. We're saying like, we don't want to raise shells of humans. We want them to have benign neglect. We want them to be children.
And be authentic. But the problem is, like, authentically yourself might not be, in all cases, the best admissions package.
But who fucking cares anymore? Like, have you seen these colleges? They're insane.
I agree. I just think that we live in a city of, everyone's the winner. Like, we live in a city of winners, where I think, or even if you're not, even if you came to it late in life, you then want to make sure your child's a winner. It's like, there's like the joke of like, somebody is extremely successful, but maybe they weren't academically smart. But then they like assume their kid's going to go to Harvard. You know what I'm saying? Because all of a sudden they're in a position to get their kid into the top school.
Right.
it's just one of those things where I guess we're just focused on the wrong things.
It's
and
all,
I guess what I'm
it's
saying
like, it's
is
not about the journey, it's the destination. That's what everybody's focusing on.
Right. That's another way to put it.
I was at nursery school interviews. I remember with people like, and they would ask college questions. Like, or like, where are the schools that these kids go to? And then after, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding? My kid's like shitting in a diaper.
Exactly.
I'm just saying it is crazy. And I don't think those were a lot of like native New Yorkers. They were like infiltrators.
I don't know.
I mean, but yeah, I don't know. We're pretty, that's my point about what I'm talking about with moving. It's like, where can I prolong their childhood?
I guess what I'm saying is kids
and raise good humans. Can I do it here?
Right. And what I'm saying is it doesn't really matter. I actually think it does not really matter where you do it. I think kids are really smart, and I think they can smell what you value. And I think they understand from a very early age, if you value, kindness and service and all those things, or if you value that they're at a school that, you're proud of, or if they value, your grades, or if they value that you're the, state wrestler or whatever it might be. I think kids figure that out. And I think it's tragic that we as a whole society, I'm not exempting anyone and I'm not judging. I'm just making an observation about the world I live in, that we seem to have lost the plot. And when you put self above community and you care more about like success over being a good person. And I do agree with you. I think religion is very grounding and very good. I'm partial to Judaism, but I think any religion, and I'm not making any new point, but religion, the lack of religion has actually created, I think, this vacuum.
Well, we've
for
like
a lot
moral
of the
corruption.
problems
There's no moral.
we've had. Yeah.
Yeah, but I also think we used to, prior to the baby boomers, right? Like we used to live near our families. Like my dad grew up with like, near his aunt and uncles and his cousins. Like they all kind of lived and helped each other. And I think that is very helpful and grounding. And if your parent doesn't understand you, maybe your aunt understands you.
Yes.
And I think family plays a huge role, and it's gone.
Yeah.
These urban environments, you've got to hire all the people that help you. And that's what I'm talking about moving too. It's like my parents live in Florida and I'm outside of the year. No,
we're back to moving.
No, because it all is making sense, because I'm like, do I need them to offer something different to that? Like that's important. Like my brother doesn't have kids yet. My older brother lives far in California.
I think your brother wanted to know if he had kids, if they'd be cousins with your kids.
My little brother asked that. Fucking idiot. I love him now.
We love you, Phil.
Look, I don't, you're right. We've lost it. The baby boomers started to move away from their families, and that was a problem, because I really do. I think it just, also when you're dealing like with like lots of cousins, and like you kind of have to be resilient because you got to fend for yourself a little bit.
Right. But look, that's circumstantial. Like for me, like one of the best gifts we've given the kids is that by living in the city, they have access to most of their cousins and their family. And I do think it's so important, but we're as guilty as anyone in that, like, everyone's busy, everyone's pursuing their own life. So it's about what you prioritize. And, we, I think, have prioritized, like we could prioritize spending Saturday having brunch with the cousins, but we prioritize that Eleanor's got a soccer game. And
you do
Sandy's
a lot of like dinners with your in-laws. And
yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I think you gotta, back to what you said, put your money where your mouth is. And I do think it would be a great exercise. It'd probably be terrifying, but if you put a chart together, like just of a week, what you and your family did, and like how much time was spent as family time versus like pursuing individual children's goals and or activities. And I think if if we're that's sort of what I always fantasized about, like being super religious, because then by just religious guidance or
right, you have to have Shabbat, you have to turn the phone off,
do these things as a family.
I think it's kind of brilliant. I really do. I'm definitely shocking myself on thinking, like, did I make a mistake not sending them to Jewish school? Nothing's too late, but I do love the concept of Shabbat.
Me too.
Of turning the phone off.
All the holidays.
But Shabbat is so much more important now because we have so many distractions.
Yes. I actually, we had like great family time this week and everybody was on the couch watching the Open.
Wait, sorry. What time do you have to pick up Eleanor?
Oh shit, I missed it.
Are you kidding? Her pickups right now?
Guys, as we've been talking about
Benign
focusing
neglect
on
101. Holy motherfucker.
Okay, I've missed pickups, so I have to run now.
Oh my God. You're welcome, Eva. And for anybody,
should we end with that?
If anybody else wants some more parenting expertise from Caroline and Eva, tune in next week. Booyah. Bye.
Mic drop. Oh.